Hi everyone, welcome to the 14th episode of the Honeybee Knits podcast. Today is Wednesday, July 26th. My name's Melissa and I'm coming to you from about 45 minutes north of Cincinnati, Ohio. You can find me on Instagram as @honey_bee_knits, on Ravelry as Melissa1308, and also in the Ravelry podcast group, the Honeybee Knits podcast. You can also find me on Etsy as honeybeenknitsco.etsy.com. Welcome if you're a new viewer to the podcast. I hope you enjoy. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I don't have as much content today as I normally do. I do have quite a few FOs and a WIP. I don't have any acquisitions other than a swap that I did. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to start us off with FOs today. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen these. But I made a pair of shorty socks for my husband. And I showed these last week as a half object. So, or maybe I had just started it. Either I just started one or it was a half object. Either way, I showed it on the podcast last week. But anyway, I have two of them. And he really likes them. He hasn't got to wear them yet because I wouldn't let him. I wanted to show them all nice for the podcast, and I did block them, and I'll show you why in a minute. But, so as far as the recipe goes, I just kind of made it up as I went along. He told me how long he wanted it, and it did take me a few tries. I think I had to rip it out 2 times to get it to fit the way that he wanted to, as well as the length that he wanted, which was my fault. I should have fit the cuff on him before I did the heel, but I didn't, so I had to rip out the heel a few times. But we've got it down now, so these fit him well, and he really likes them. So what I did is I cast it on 64 stitches, which I probably could have done 60. If he starts wearing these, and if he has problems with the back sliding down his heel, I probably will switch to 60 stitches. I cast on 64 stitches. I did a 2x2 twisted rib for the cuff, and I did that for 4 rows, and then I switched to stockinette. He wanted a very thin, he didn't want a very wide cuff, so I went ahead and switched to stockinette, and I knit for 11 rounds. I did a Fish Lips Kiss heel, and then for his size foot, I found that I needed to knit 60 stitches along the foot before I started the toe, 60 rows before I started the toe decreases. So I knit 60 rows, and then I did a rounded toe with the Kitchener bind off. And I have gotten a few people ask me how I do my rounded toe. And I did mention that I use Mina's vanilla sock recipe, if that sounds right, or I think it's Mina's 2 at a time socks, and that's Mina Phillip of the Knitting Expat podcast. And in that recipe, she has how to do a rounded toe. But I'll just explain it real quick for those of you that are interested. So I knit magic loops. So the way I have it, I have half of my stitches on the front needle and half on the back. If you knit DPNs, these instructions would be different for you because you would be knitting across 3 or 4 needles instead of 2. So I'm going to explain it for magic loop. So basically, when I decide to start my toe on that first round across, I knit 1, I slip knit the next 2 stitches. So I knit 1, slip knit, I knit across to the last 3 stitches, I knit 2 together, and then I knit 1. And then I turn it. At that point I'm done with needle 1. So then I turn it to go back to needle 2, or to go across needle 2, and I do knit 1, slip knit, knit across to the end, I to the last 3 stitches. So knit across to the last 3 stitches, knit 2 together, and then knit 1. And then for rows 3 through 4, so 2, 3, and 4, I'm sorry, so rows 2 through 4, I just knit around. So then on the 5th row, I do the same decreases I did on the 1st row. On the 6th and 7th row, I knit around. On the 8th row, I do the same decreases that I did on the 1st and 5th row. And then on the 9th row, I knit around. And then on the 10th row, I do the same decreases. From there, I will decrease every row until I get down to 8 stitches on each needle, so 16 stitches total. and then I will Kitchener the toe. So that's just a basic, quick outline of how to do a rounded toe. If you need those instructions written out for you, like I said, you can find them in Mina's 2 at a time sock recipe. And that's Mina from the Knitting Expat. So anyway, I'm really happy how these turned out. Again, the striping, I don't know what it's been weird with my striping socks lately. For some reason, I'm normally pretty good at matching them up. And for some reason, again, these ones didn't match up quite perfectly. He didn't mind. He didn't seem to notice, so we'll see if he says something in the future. But I'm not sure if that's the fault of me or the dyer, and I'm thinking it's me because at this point I've knit with 2 yarns from 2 different dyers, and that's happened both times. 3 times. 3 socks in a row now where they haven't ended up in the same spot. So I'm almost positive that it's me. It doesn't bother me, but I say it doesn't bother me, but I keep bringing it up, so apparently it does. Oh well. Anyway, I really like these. And this only used, I can't remember the specific amounts of yardage, but I think it only used like 160 yards, and I think it was about 36 grams. So I had a lot of, I hadn't even used 50% of the ball for these, so I had a lot of yarn left over. So I went ahead and made him a second pair. So these ones have not been blocked. So you can see I made them opposite. So this one starts with blue and ends with green. This one starts with green and ends with blue. And I did put these ones on sock blockers because they haven't been blocked. And a lot of, I've heard a lot of people talk about not blocking socks. And that's fine. You don't have to. They'll stretch out on your feet as you wear them. But I want to tell you why I do. I at least block them on sock blockers after they're finished. Every pair that I finish. And then after that, I don't use a sock blocker again unless it really needs to be stretched out. I normally just wash them and lay them flat to dry or hang them out to dry. So I want to show you the difference between an unblocked one and a blocked one. And this one's been sitting on the blocker all day, so it is... it's better than what it was earlier, because earlier it was pretty scrunched up. But I don't know if you can tell the difference between the two. This heel is very square over here. So when you block it, it rounds out the heel, and it also evens out your cuff. So see how the cuff is really scrunched up on this one versus this one? It also loosens up your stitches, and it makes the sock the right size. So on the top I have the unblocked version, and on the bottom I have the blocked version, and see how much that stretched out both width and lengthwise. And this is why people talk about negative ease in your knitting, and I am not an expert on negative ease by any means, but basically this is why negative ease is so important. And what negative ease is, and I'll try to explain it, and I may not be 100% accurate, so you may want to look it up. But basically, it keeps you, if you knit a garment without negative ease, so you knit it true to size, when you block it, it's going to loosen up and stretch out, and then it's going to be too big and baggy. So to keep that from happening, what you do, if you're not trying it on the person as you go, you want to allow for a certain amount of negative ease. I tried this on him as I went, so I don't know how to calculate negative ease. I'm sure it has something to do with calculating your gauge and how many stitches per inch you have, and then making sure that you subtract like a 1/4 inch or so from your gauge to figure out how much you need to cast on and knit down. For me, I'm a trial and error person. I am a number person at work, but at home I'm not. So I don't like calculating the numbers. So what I do is I just I guesstimate So, for example, the first sock I knit for myself was 64 stitches around, and it was too tight. So I knew that I needed bigger than 64. And with how tight it felt, I was a newer sock knitter, so I went up to 72 stitches. And I kept at 72 stitches for a long time because I didn't realize that the reason I was having problems with my sock bagging, sliding down my ankle, was because I had cast on too many stitches. So now I'm at 68 stitches, and it works pretty well for me, unless it's a thicker, like more heavier fingering or sport weight yarn. When it's that, I typically go down to 64 stitches. So anyway, I know my spiel on negative ease probably was not very helpful to you, but if you are a newer sock knitter and you're having trouble with the fit of your socks, I would recommend probably just Googling negative ease, or maybe somebody can tell us in the comments a better description, somebody that's more linguistic than I am, so, or maybe more experienced with negative ease than I am, because I know what it is, but I'm not able to explain it very well because I don't think about it that often, because like I said, I try my garments on as I go and I make adjustments as needed. So again, the top sock is the one that's unblocked. The one below it is the one that's blocked, and you can see the difference. And you don't have to block it to get it to the right size. You can just wear it and it'll stretch out. But I just like the look of the finished look of having mine blocked. And I don't know if this is true or not, but it seems like when I block my socks on the blocker before I wear them, they fit better when I wear them the first time. And even after I wash them again, they seem to fit better. So that's just my 2 cents, my opinion on it. You don't have to block your socks. A lot of people think it's unnecessary, which it probably is, but I like to do it. Plus, I use Tough Woolens, and this smells really good. And for this, I use Sugar Skull. So it's I like the smell of that. So those are my 2 finished socks this week. I still have, I think, like 28 grams of that yarn left. I don't have enough to do a full pair, but if I did a contrasting toe or a contrasting toe and heel, I definitely could do another pair. However, I'm kind of over it. So after knitting 2 pairs of those within 5 or 6 days, I guess it's been a little over, anyway, 2 pairs within a week and a half was enough for me of that yarn. It's beautiful yarn. I loved working with it, and it knit up so quickly, but I'm ready to move on to something else. So I won't be making a 3rd pair anytime soon. Maybe later I'll pick it back up if he really needs another pair and I don't have any other sock yarn for him, which I have plenty. So I've got my iced coffee today. Normally I don't, normally my iced coffee is gone by the time I podcast. To be fair, it was gone before I podcasted today. I made another one because with the week I've had at work, I needed it. I do want to mention that my projects at work are really ramping up, and as a result, I have a feeling that my work hours are going to extend past the normal business working hours in the coming weeks. I have quite a few big projects that were just assigned. Not only do I have about 3 or 4 really big projects that all have a sense of urgency on them right now, that are brand new to me, that were just assigned, in addition to another 2 projects. So 2 of the big projects I'm working, though, I'm actually assisting other project managers on. So that won't be my primary focus. Those won't be my primary job. I will just be helping them. And then 2 of the other projects I am the primary project manager on, so, and they're really big, so those are going to take up a lot of time. In addition to that, I have 2 additional projects that are actually smaller, that shouldn't take as long and be as difficult, as in-depth, that I just got assigned. And this is in addition to, I have 12, before those 6, I have 12 projects, 8 of which are active. So the other ones are what's not currently active but could become active at any time. But 8 of which are active that I'm wrapping up or working on right now. So most of those are winding down. 1 is ramping up. So anyway, you don't care about all that. That's all to say that work life is going to become really hectic in the upcoming weeks. So when it comes to the podcast, I don't know that I will be able to upload on a consistent basis. I am still going to I'm going to do my best to make sure that I will have a podcast every week. I just can't guarantee that they'll be uploaded on Wednesday or Thursday, depending on YouTube. It may be a Saturday podcast. There may be a week and a half between podcasts, something like that. Because I need to make sure that work is my primary focus right now. So, I will still be getting my crafting time in. That's not going to change because, crafting is the reason why I am able to do so well in my day-to-day life. I talked about this a little bit before, but I suffer from anxiety, and when I get stressed out, I get even more anxious and I start to have panic attacks. So I always make sure to set aside time for myself to either knit or spin or read or something along those lines, because if I don't, I will go into complete stress panic mode. And with all the changes that have happened over the past couple weeks between my surgery and my dog being sick, and now work ramping up, I definitely have been trying to making sure that I made time for crafting. So with that being said, I'm not going to let the podcasting time interfere with my crafting time. So in other words, no offense to you guys, but if I have a couple hours on a Wednesday and I haven't knit, instead of podcasting, I will knit instead of podcast. But, like I said, I will make absolutely 100% positive that I set aside time at least once a week to podcast. And if it has to be on a Saturday, then it'll be on a Saturday. No worries. So, anyway, that's my ramble for today. Well, I can't say that's going to be my only ramble because you guys know me, so. Alright, so my next FO. I have 3 FOs. Did I mention I have 3 FOs? Guys, I have 3 FOs. Let's talk about how I have been so impressed with myself knocking out these FOs. And if I didn't have a podcast, I wouldn't be knocking them out. So, it's because of you guys, so thank you. So my next FO, my Canterlot mittens. I'm so excited. I have been talking about casting these on for like a month, and I finally did. So, here they are. I am in love with these. Listen, okay, I knit these in like a day, literally a day. So, Friday night after work, I cast them on. My husband and I, my husband has been wanting me to see all the Matrix movies since we got married because I had never seen them. And so we had watched the first one, but never got around to the second and third one. And now all 3 of them are on Amazon Prime. So we decided we were going to watch them this weekend. So Friday night, we started watching them. And within 1.5 movies, I had them actually like 1 1/4. So this, I cast it on as I pressed play. I cast it on. After the first movie, we went and ate. I came back home, we started the second movie, and I cast this off about a half hour into the movie. So this took me 1 1/4 movies, and then I started this one about halfway through the movie, and then the next day we woke up, we cleaned, we turned on the third movie, and I finished this glove. I mean, these are so simple. These are a perfect gift knit. If you are looking for a beautiful, fun, easy knit for somebody for Christmas, you gotta try these. They're made out of, I'm going to finish this and I got to go back to the socks because I forgot to talk about the yarn. Anyway, so these are made out of DK weight yarn, which I originally thought they were fingering, which I guess you could make them out of fingering. They would just take longer. I think for me, my stitch definition is better with smaller yarn and smaller weight, smaller yarn and smaller needles. So I think I may eventually try a fingering weight pair of these because I would really love to see how this pattern turns out. But I'm going to put them on. But I used Sparkling Seaweed and her Baltic DK base in the Gracie colorway. And I used a good portion of the ball. I think I have about 30 grams left. But, so this is what they look like on. And I know I'm going to be making a few more pair of these. I think I'm going to order some more DK from her. Not this month. Because I'll tell you why. I'm not going to Stitches Midwest, but I kind of am. And did that confuse you? Well, then you're going to have to wait until the end of this podcast to figure out how that's going to happen. Anyway, so my niece has already claimed these. I was getting ready to bring them. They're staying with us for a few days, and I kicked them out. I made them go outside and play while I podcasted, but anyway, I was bringing these upstairs, and she put them on. She's like, oh, I want these. I need these. So she'll probably end up with these. And I really like them. I'm going to make me a pair. I don't know if I'm going to do the same colorway. But I'm going to be ordering some more of the DK yarn from Sparkling Seaweed so that I can make myself a pair because I thought these were for me and they're my colors and I want to keep them. Maybe I will keep these and make her a different pair. She likes purple. She likes pink too, but she's a purple person, so maybe I will order a skein of purple yarn and make her a pair. I don't know. I'll ask her. But anyway, I really like these. These are really quick knit. They're great gifts. They would make fantastic gifts. And Shelby, if you're watching, which I think you are. Hi, Shelby. These are, I don't even think I mentioned. I have in my past podcast, but if you're a new viewer, you wouldn't know. These are the Canterlot Mittens by Shelby Hamden. And Shelby, I think you need to convert this pattern to actual mittens. I myself prefer the fingerless mitts, but I think my aunt would really love these as a Christmas gift if they were full mittens. So I'm going to need you to get on that. I'm totally kidding. Well, I'm kind of kidding, but I'm not. I'm not bossing you around. That's the kidding part, but I'm being serious about maybe converting this pattern eventually to mittens. Because I would love to knit that up, and I don't have the mind power or the time or the want to do so. So, plus it's your pattern, and I think it would be amazing if you offered this in a mittens option. So yeah, thank you for such a beautiful pattern. I know I'm not the only one that fell in love with that pattern. So going back real quick to these socks, I didn't mention the yarn. The yarn is Berry Colorful Yearnings on Etsy, and I think she has a website as well. But it's a custom dyed colorway. She named it Seahawks for me. I contacted her because she said she accepts custom dye orders, and you can pick 2 or 3 colorways, or 2 or 3 colors, and it's a really great price. She doesn't charge any more for a custom colorway than she does her normal colorways, which I think is amazing. But anyway, so Very Colorful Yarnings, and I asked for a navy blue and a bright green for Seahawks for my hubby, and she obliged. And I think I'm going to go back and I'm going to get her to add a gray, maybe a thinner gray stripe on each side of the blue, and do some more socks for him eventually. I haven't got there yet, but I will do that eventually. So those are my FOs this week. So I have one whip to show. I didn't crochet anymore on my crochet blanket. And if you've been with me since the beginning, you might be wondering, where the heck is your Cozy Memories blanket? Yeah. I did really good at the beginning of the year. For like the first 5.5 months, I knit a square on it every day. I haven't touched it since May. So maybe even before that. I don't even know. I will have 365 squares on it by the end of the year. But right now, I'm like 60 squares behind, if not more. So I'll get there eventually. One of these days, I'm just going to sit down and work on that for like an entire week. Whatever. Okay, so here's my whip. I'm going to get it out. When you guys saw this, it was about, look, I remember to put a progress keeper in. It's not that I forget to put progress keepers in to show you guys my progress. It's just that typically when I show you a project, I have it done by the next podcast. So, I don't know. Doesn't really seem worth bothering to put a progress keeper on. But anyway, so I was all the way down here. I don't know if you can, maybe if I hold it up closer. It's my little Deathly Hallows progress keeper. And I got this from QBS Not For Profit when I ordered some bags from her, which I ordered another bag. I'm so excited. It was shipped the other day. You have to, I'll show it when it gets here. But anyway, so this is where I started. I made some progress on this. Since you've seen it last, I literally only knit on it once. Well, twice. Last Thursday, I knit on it for our Whip It Thursday cow, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I messed up, and it was like 10:30 at night, and I got ticked off. I wasn't feeling good, and so I put it in the naughty corner, and it stayed there until today. So I did pull it out right before the podcast, and I fixed it. So I am in love with this when it goes smoothly. The problem is that my stitch, I don't know if it's me or the pattern, but my stitch counts, I mean, I know it's me, but I don't know if it's because of the pattern. My brain just isn't, like, clicking when I'm reading it. Or the yarn, or the needles, or what. I am about to put a longer needle on this. But anyway, so here it is. I'm about 1/3 of the way done with this first section. I guess I could show you the pattern. Well, not the pattern, but so this is what it's gonna look like. It's Color Craving by Stephen West. I'm sure you guys have seen it. And it has this chart in here, which I didn't even know it had this chart in there until until I was halfway through the chart. But anyway, it has this number counter chart, row counter chart that tells you, because the way the pattern is, and I hope I'm not giving it away, but you knit halfway across, you do some yarn overs, and then you knit the other way. I was having a problem remembering what halfway was, because you can kind of, and I think right here I was actually off, but I think in the big scheme of things you're not going to be able to tell. Maybe you will. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, it's lopsided right here. That's actually where I messed up. I'm not going back and fixing it, because at this point you're not going to be able to tell in the giant shawl. My stitch counts are on point right now, and I ripped this thing out probably 4 or 5 times and restarted it. The first time I ripped it out 3 times before I decided I didn't like the way the colors were knitting up together. So then I changed my colors and had to rip it out a couple more times because I forgot. I think I explained this last week. In the pattern, you have to knit through the back loop, or no, you have to knit 1, purl 1 into the same yarn over. And I'm so used to the patterns that say knit 1 through the back loop, knit 1 through the back loop, purl through the front loop. So I was doing that, but if you do that, it completely messes up the pattern. You have to knit 1 through the front and then purl 1 through the front. So it kept messing it up. And I forgot that when I switched my colors, even though that's the reason I ripped it out the 3 times before, is because I kept messing that part up. So anyway, they have these little yarn over sections in between these garter sections. I'm on the second one, and there are 5. So I'm getting ready to do the second one. So hopefully I'll have that section 1 done tomorrow. Tomorrow's Whip It Thursday, so I'm hoping to get home from work and sit down and work on it and at least get section 1 done, because I feel like I'm not getting any progress on this. We've been doing Whip It Thursday for 2 weeks now, and this is all I have. So I would really like to have some progress on this. Granted, the first Thursday I had company over, so I didn't get a whole lot of knitting on it, because I knit on it for like a half hour. And then last Thursday I had company over again, and it was knitting company, so we went to dinner. Okay, I'll tell you in my weekend review. Let's just say they came over and we knit for a little while, and that's when I got most of this done until I messed up, and then I just did 2 repeats today. So anyway, well, I probably won't have time tonight. I would like to pull this out tonight and work on it a little bit, but I most likely won't have time. We'll see. Anyway, so I'm using Madeline Tosh Light, and this is my color A. It's paper. This is color B, Pop Rocks, and here's color C, Button Jar Blue. So I'm really excited how this is going to turn out. I really love how it's turning out, and this is one of the projects, this is one of the few projects where I hate the pattern, but I want the finished object, so I'm going to keep on pushing on. And the reason why I picked it as my Whip It Thursday first was because A, it was the oldest the reason why I picked it as my first Whip It Wednesday whip to work was because A, it's my oldest whip, and B, I figured it would force me to actually finish it, because otherwise it's just going to sit up and on my shelf in a bag. So, that's all I've got for whips this week. I have planned projects now. So my first planned project is my Sorrento shawl by Marcia of the Fairy Little podcast. It's a beautiful shawl. I've talked about it before. If you haven't looked it up yet, you need to go look it up. It's becoming more popular. I've heard, I think, 3 or 4 different podcasters talk about it since I brought it up. It's not becoming popular because of me. It's becoming popular because of Marcia's pattern. It's gorgeous. And I think it's getting out there more. So you definitely need to go and check that out. I will have that casted on before next podcast. I know I said I was going to have it cast on this week, but if I wouldn't have done a second pair of socks for my hubby, I would have. But I did do the rest. I promised these would be casted on, so, and I not only cast them on, I finished them, so give me credit, guys. So my Sorrento shawl will be cast on before next week, and also I don't know if my August Desert Vista Dye Works socks will be cast on, but I know I'll at least have the yarn picked out because August 1st is when the August Knit Along starts. So I've got my shelf of Desert Vista Dye Works yarn. And guys, I had a couple of people contact me for my Desert Vista Dye Works yarn that I had up for sale. And unfortunately, they contacted me a day apart. Not really unfortunately, but they basically both offered to buy whatever I wanted to sell for Desert Vista Dye Works, whatever I had left. So I had somebody buy 6 skeins of Desert Vista Dye Works yarn, and that's all I was willing to sell at that time. I did have more up, but those had already previously sold. But yeah. So, my point of that was that I counted, and I had 20 some skeins of Desert Vista Dye Works yarn, and I'm now down to 18. So I'm down to a year and a half of Desert Vista Dye Works socks, which is exciting because I have not been letting myself order any more Desert Vista Dye Works yarn until I got down to where I needed to. So I'm one step closer to getting to order more. So this shelf used to be all Desert Vista Dye Works, and now right here, see that pink skein? Everything down is Desert Vista Dye Works, and everything up is Sparkling Seaweed yarn from Shelby Hamden. So I've got to go dig in there and pick one out for August, and I'm really liking this one right here. But I think I'm going to save that one for the new year because it's called Kiss Me at Midnight. We'll see. Whatever my little heart desires this month is what is going to be cast on. So, that's my planned projects. I didn't write this down in my planned projects because I want to do it so bad. But I'm not sure if I want to do it because A, it's a bandwagon cast on, meaning everybody's doing it, so I want to do it. Or B, because I want to buy yarn for it. And I'm trying to decide, or C, if I really want to cast it on because I love it. And that is the Roxy the Hippo from Lolo Did It. So everybody's casting it on right now. It's the cutest little hippo I've ever seen. And I really want it. And I don't know if the reason I really want it is because I want to buy one of Lolo's kits because they're so darn cute to make it. Or if I want to make it because I really want it. I never knit a stuffy, but it is one of my goals this year. So I think it's a perfect time to make one. However, I am being very, very strict on my yarn diet. And, I don't want to okay, so the reason I did a huge destash is because it was becoming overwhelming. I needed to get my yarn down to these 2 shelves without overflow. And I'm getting closer to that goal. I haven't hit it yet, but I'm getting very close. And for me to go out and spend money buying more yarn right now would just be, unless it's a special occasion or a special colorway, something like that, would be completely ridiculous because that would mean I just sold a bunch of great yarn to make room for new yarn, which wasn't what my intention at all. I wanted to sell the yarn so that I would be less stressed with the amount of yarn that I had. So I think my thought is that if I want the hippo that bad, I have Lolo Did It yarn. I have a ton of fingering weight yarn. I can find yarn to go together to make it in my stash. I have plenty. So if I want it that bad, I will go stash diving and I will figure something out. It doesn't take that much yarn to make. I think it takes like 40 grams or something like that. I haven't bought the pattern yet. I've been waiting to buy it, but I think it takes like 40 grams of yarn, and I know I have that. Even if it's not one of my full skeins of Lolo, I have a ton of Lolo Did It yarn that I use for my So Faded sweater and for my Find Your Fade shawl that I have a ton of leftovers for. Especially from Find Your Fade, because there were some colors that I only used like 20 or 30 grams of. So if I want it that bad, I will put together a combination and make it. And if worst case scenario, if I want the yarn that bad, then I'll just order a coordinating miniature Lolo Did It. Like I think they're like $7 mini to go with whatever yarn I have. So if I can't find, worst case scenario, if I can't find something that matches, I can get a mini Lolo to go with my main color. That's my plan. But first, Sorrento shawl and August socks. And also, I didn't write this down either, but last week I did a few giveaways and one was for the what was it called? I think it was No Prisoner shawl. Let me look. Hang on. It's the No Prisoners wrap by Caitlin Griffin. She donated, or I'm sorry, she mentioned her wrap in the Plug Your Business thread, and I love it. Sirius Black is one of my favorite characters from Harry Potter, and I really love that wrap. It's beautiful. And I gifted it to a winner last week, and then she gifted me one of the patterns because I mentioned that I really would love to make it sometime. So that is definitely going on my bucket list. Dog's barking. My niece just ran in. She had to go to the bathroom. it's killing them that I won't let them in here while I'm podcasting. Anyway, no prisoners wrap. I want to make it. It's on my bucket list, even though I didn't write it down, because I'm kind of trying to limit myself to 2 or 3 things at a time because I don't want to overwhelm myself, especially since I have all these whips that I want to work on too. I don't want to devote all my knitting time to new projects. Which reminds me, I actually do have 2 more whips spinning. And one of them I'm still considering a whip, even though I've spun it all up because it's not plied yet. So this, you guys have seen. I finished it. I sat down Saturday morning. Yeah, Saturday morning. I was up before my husband. He was still sleeping. I couldn't sleep. I was having a hard time sleeping. And so I said, I'm going to get up and I'm going to spin this until it's done. So I spun for about 2.5, 3 hours. I'm a slow spinner. Not to mention, this is this is like a lace weight, so it was taking me quite a long time to finish. But, yeah, I'm really happy with it. This is fiber that I dyed a few years ago, and I really love it. So, I'm going to let it rest on the bobbin for about 2 weeks. I know nothing about resting fiber, but I do know that I've heard you're supposed to let it rest on the bobbin for anywhere from a day to a week. So I just went on the conservative side and I said I'm going to let it rest for a week before I apply it. I'm going to apply this like I normally do. I'm not going to chain ply it. So what I do is I skein it up, I wind it onto my ball winder, and I ply from the center of the ball and the outside of the ball. And that way I ensure that it's evenly plied and I don't have any leftovers. Especially since I did, and in addition to, well, I kind of have to do it that way because I spin it all onto the same bobbin. I didn't split it in half and spin it onto different bobbins. So that's kind of the way I like to do it. I've never done 2 bobbins. I don't know if I'll do that in the future. Maybe it'll be easier. I don't know. But this is just the way I taught myself, so this is how I do it. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure the weight of the amount of fiber I have. I know it was over 4 ounces. For some reason I was thinking 8 ounces, and I know that for a fact that's not the case. Maybe it's more like 6 ounces. That sounds about right. I don't know. After I apply it, I will weigh it and let you guys know. So anyway, I'm really happy with how this turned out. It came out very consistent for me, and I think it's going to be a perfect fingering weight, and I think it's going to give me the yardage I want. Looking back, I'm not sure, because I was so frustrated with myself when I first started spinning because I couldn't get fingering weight yarn. After it was plied, it was more of like I think the best that I got was a heavy sport weight yarn. I never got down to fingering. And that was my goal, was to get down to fingering, and because I wanted more yardage. And now that I'm doing fingering, I'm kind of thinking, why was that so important to me? Because the only thing I can think of to knit hand spun with and fingering weight would be a shawl or socks, and most likely I would say socks, and I'm not sure how hand spun socks would wear. And I don't know how this would look in a shawl either. What I've seen, I like the look of hand spun mittens and hats. Maybe a cowl. I haven't seen too many hand spun socks or shawls. So I'm not sure why I wanted fingering weight so bad. But anyway, so there it is. I'm happy with it. I love it. Can't wait to apply it. And I started a new spin. Well, no, I didn't. I'm lying. Okay, so first let me show you this. And this is also mystery fiber that I dyed up a few years ago. And this is my last one that I have hand dyed from my dye session a few years ago. I was selling these and I kept some for myself. And when I learned how to spin, I wanted to learn to spin on those because I didn't want to use my expensive fiber. And this is actually the very first thing I ever started spinning, and it was started on a drop spindle. And when I got my spinning wheel, I stopped drop spindling. Well, actually, this is as far as I got on it, on my drop spindle. When I started spinning on my wheel, I didn't drop spindle anymore. It just felt like it took too long for me, and I was never going to finish it, so I transferred this to my wheel. So I just hooked it on there. As you can see, some of it is overspun because I did accidentally spin it. Well, a little bit. I was trying to just feed it on, but it did end up spinning it a little bit while I was feeding it onto the bobbin. But I think that will hopefully even out with when I apply it. And if not, that's okay. This does have that thick and thin from where I was learning to spin. So I did get a lot thinner as I went on. And I think I have about a quarter of it spun up. So this is what I have. I think this was half. So this is what's left of the first half. So I've got this. I should probably weigh this so you guys get about an idea. So I've got this, and as you can see, it was in a project bag, so it is kind of twisted. So I'm gonna have to untwist it before I can spin it up. But I really like how the colors turned out when I dyed it. And honestly, this reminds me a lot of that unicorn rainbow colorway that my niece dyed up, because it was actually the same colors that she used for that is what I used to dye this fiber. And that's what I was talking about, how I had one that was similar to the one she dyed. So I dyed this a couple years ago. And I think the biggest difference between hers and mine is that I put my green next to my pink, which caused this like orange, see if I have a, here we go, right here. Like this little orange piece, which you can see better when it's spun up. You can see the orange in there. So anyway, just goes to show how when you apply colors differently and you use different techniques, how they turn out different. Yeah. I am looking to buy more dyes because right now I only have, I think, 6 colors that I can play with, and I've noticed I did dye some new colorways up for the shop, and I will show those. Sorry, I got distracted by doing this. I will show those in a few minutes, but I noticed that all my colorways have pink in them, most of them, and it's because I'm a pink fan, A, and B, I don't have that many different dyes right now that I play with, so I will be purchasing more soon. I just haven't gotten around to it. So those are my spinning whips. So hopefully I'll have the rest of that first half spun before you see me next week. So I like telling you guys what my goals are so that I keep myself accountable. So acquisitions. So I don't have any yarn acquisitions today. Like I said, I've been trying to do good, and the stuff that I have bought hasn't come in yet. I don't have a whole lot of yarn coming, I don't think. I think I have one skein from Shelby of Sparkling Seaweed. I have one skein, or I have the kit. I still haven't gotten the Sangria Club from Yarn Hoarder yet. I'm gonna have to reach out to her again because that still hasn't come, and which is weird because she said that the Sangria one was sent out before the white wine one, so I should have gotten it first, but it's Canada Post, so who knows. I have July, no, I already got July. I have August clubs coming for Cozy Knitter and Vivid Yarn Studio, but those won't be until August. And I have a skein coming that I'm really excited to show when it won't be here until August either. Oh, and I have 3 Nomadic yarns probably coming in August. So I have some stuff that will trickle in August, just nothing right now. And I have some other stuff I'm really excited to talk about, but I'll wait for a second. So anyway, so I did do a few, when I put my D-stash up, I was contacted by quite a few people asking if I would be interested to do swaps. I'm totally down for swaps, typically, but I did have to draw a line. I did 2. two swaps. One of them was this one I'm about to show you, which was I gave her yarn, she gave me bags. And then the other one, I traded, I think, 3 skeins of yarn for a bag and a skein of yarn, which I think she mailed out today, so I'll have that coming up. And so I'm trying, if I do a swap, I'm trying not to swap for yarn. Again, it just defeats the purpose of getting rid of my yarn. But if I am swapping for yarn, it's got to be something that I've wanted for a long time. So, for example, the yarn that I swapped and the other swap was for a skein of Lolo Did It in the, can't remember the colorway. Lolo Did It in the Welcome to the Jungle colorway, which I've eyed for a while. I'm not a Bengals fan, but I live close to Cincinnati, so I don't know why I wanted the Welcome to the Jungle. I wanted it because it reminded me of them, but the colorway wasn't their colors. That makes sense. I like the colorway. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Anyway, so back to acquisitions today. So the first swap that I did was with Molly Klein of Molly Klein Designs. And she liked a couple skeins of yarn in my shop, or in my D-stash that she wanted, and asked me if there was anything I want to trade for. And I said, yeah, this bag. Because I've been eyeing it, but again, I've been trying not to buy bags because I have an abundance of them. But I really like, and I especially have a lot of her bags. But I really wanted this because bees. And I like the colors of the bees, the different colors. But anyway, and it is a sweater size bag. I asked her if she could put a longer handle on it, and she had no problem with that. So she put me a longer handle on it, and it's got the nice purple fabric on the inside. So that was the first bag. And the second bag was a surprise. She said that she had some fabric that reminded her of me because, well, you'll see why. And she wanted to send me this bag. So it's got sparkles on it. Look. The shoes have sparkles on it. So it's sparkly and pink. So Molly knows me so well. Of course, she knew I would have to have this. So she gifted me this. And then the inside has polka dots. You know, I'm a freak for polka dots. And they are also sparkly. She also sent me some tea and show her business card. So she is Molly Klein Designs on Etsy. So thank you, Molly. I love them so much. I felt really bad because I got these on Saturday, and I'll tell you when we can review. I had a really busy Saturday, so I actually got them as we were walking out the door, so I was able to open it and look at it. But then I forgot to message her because I was going to message her in the car on the way to where we were going, and I completely forgot until she said something Sunday. So I'm really happy that I'm really happy with these, and I'm excited to use them for some future projects. So, real quick, I have some new colorways to show for the shop, but before I get into that, I do want to, I'm going to cut these off while I'm talking. Before I get into that, I do want to talk about some giveaway news. So this week I'm supposed to do the I normally give away 3 patterns every 2 weeks, and I just got really busy today, and I don't have the energy to go through the threads and figure out where I last pulled numbers from and where I need to start and basically draw winners. So I'm not going to do that today, but I will be doing it next week. And it'll actually work out better because I will be doing the draws for the July sock knit along next week as well. So I'll just do some additional pattern prizes. Just make sure you're going out there and participating in the threads. That's all you've got to do, and I will draw you for some pattern prizes. I will draw some names for pattern prizes. So I will do that next week. Our year-long sock knit along, the July one, I'm going to close the thread on August 2nd, which is the day before I podcast next. And you can enter any socks knit in the month that started and finished in the month of July. And currently we have 36 entries, which is a lot more than last month, so I'm really excited. So I might have to throw an extra prize in there or something for you guys, so make sure that you're entering in your finished objects. Stash Down 2017. Okay, so I wanted to give you guys an update on my stash down. I'm doing really well, and I kind of feel like I cheated a little bit because I did sell a lot of my yarn, but you guys are free to sell your yarn too, so there's nothing saying that you can't, so I guess technically it's not cheating. And besides, I can't be entered in to win prizes anyway, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, so at the start of Stash Down 2017, I had 432 skeins. I've used 2 skeins. Now I've used 3 because I'm now counting this as a full skein because I've officially used over 50% with both socks. So, but when I did the count, I had used 2 skeins, which was the skein from my June Desert Vista Dye Works socks and my mittens. And I had added 5 skeins, which you guys saw those on last week's podcast. Actually, there was 4 that I had added from last week's podcast and 1 that I had for a while that I had shown you, but I forgot to add to my stash, which was Gracie and the Tasman base, which is the fingering weight. So I added that to my stash. And then I sold or gifted 47 skeins. So that's how much I've sold. And then so my total change is I'm down 44 skeins, and my current stash count is 388 skeins, which isn't correct because I found another skein of yarn hiding in my house that has not been inventoried, so that's +1. And then I used the skein of yarn for these socks, so that's -1. So I guess actually current stash would be 388 because I +1 -1, those equal out. So never mind. So I'm down to 388 skeins from 432. So I'm really happy. My goal is to get down to 350 by the end of the year. And that is a lot more attainable now that I have sold so much off. And actually I've sold more since I did that count too. I just haven't mailed it out because I don't count it until I mail it out. P.S. If you're waiting on a package from me, they will all go out Friday, July 28th. I haven't been able to get them packaged up and in the mail this week just because of work stuff. But I'm going to sit down tomorrow night. Tonight I'm editing the podcast, so I won't have time. But tomorrow night after work, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to package them up and get them ready to mail off. Friday, I'm working from home, so I'm going to take my lunch and go to the post office and drop them off. So those will be mailed out on Friday. So that's it for Stash Down 2017. Make sure you're going out there declaring your stash. Make sure you're keeping your stash updated when you have new stuff coming in and when you cast off projects. I've been reading through all of them, and it's really exciting to see your guys' projects. Remember when you add more yarn or use more yarn or sell more yarn or whatever it is, when you're updating your post, you're editing your original post, not creating a new one. There is a chatter thread open for that. So the Stash Down 2017 thread is just for the declaring your stash and the changes that you make from now until the end of the year. And the chatter thread is where we can go and talk about it all. So make sure that you're keeping chatter to the chatter thread, please. Otherwise, I will have to delete your post, just because I don't want it to throw off the counts when we do our prizes at the end of the year. So then our next item of business is the Whip It Thursday call. So this is a knit along that I'm hosting with Levi from the WTF Knitting podcast. If you have not checked out his podcast, you need to pause mine and go watch his because he is amazing and you guys will love his podcast. He is so funny, and he has some of the best projects. He just put up a video that shows some of the whips that he's using for this knit along, and they look amazing. And there's one whip that has gone crazy on Instagram and on his podcast feed, and he is knitting a sheep pillow. And I don't think I could ever, like, I really want to make it, but I don't want to say I can't do it because I know if I sit down and read the pattern, I could. But I'm not, he put, like, quilt batting in there to keep the stuffing in, and I have no experience with that, so I wouldn't even know where to begin with that. So unless it says it in the pattern, I would have no idea how to do that. But it is super cute, and you guys should go check out that podcast. But anyway, we are hosting a joint knit along called hashtag Whip It Thursday on Instagram. So you do not have to, so basically this knit along is for you to be able to work on any languishing whips. And what we're considering languishing whips are whips that are older than 2 months old. If you don't have a whip that's, and we're talking knitting, crochet, spinning, whatever kind of crafting you do, sewing, I don't care if it's sewing. If it's older than 2 months old, finish it. We want to see your finished objects. Right now we have 3 finished objects in the thread. I want to see more, guys, so we need to pick it up. And I know I'm saying that, and I showed you my Whip It Thursday project, my color craving. I need to kick it up because I have all these I want to work on, and that goes through the end of September. I will say, and again, I haven't discussed this with Levi, so I'm not going to speak for him. I'm going to keep going through after September, I think, as long as I don't putter out. Maybe the day will change. Maybe I'll change it to Whip It Wednesday or something. But I am definitely going to keep on this 1 day a week focusing on my whips train until they're all completed, which will take me over a year because I have so many of them. But anyway, so work on your languishing whips. And if you don't have a languishing whip, what we want you to do is to cast on something that you've been wanting to cast on for a long time. So for example, if there is a sweater you want to knit and you've never knit a sweater, I want you to cast it on and finish it before the end of September. If you cast it on now, you absolutely could do it. I knit a fingering weight sweater in less than a week. I would have had it done in probably 4 or 5 days because, but if it weren't for the fact that I had to order yarn and wait for it to come. So, I know you guys can do it. I'm not that fast of a knitter. I mean, I am fast, but I don't have a lot of knitting time. So, if you have more knitting time than me and you're a slower knitter, it evens out. You can do it, especially if it's a worsted weight worsted weight sweater, a DK weight sweater, something that's thicker weight than fingering. You guys can get that knocked out. But even if it's like a stuffy, if you wanted to do amigurumi and you've never actually done it, but you've been wanting to cast something on, cast it on and finish it. Those are super simple. You can find like a super small pattern from Susan B. Anderson and have that knit in a couple days. I like how I'm giving you guys a pep talk about knitting stuff that you've wanted to knit for a long time when I've always wanted to do a stuffy and I've never have. Roxy the Hippo is calling my name, guys. Anyway, so if you're a good knitter and you don't have any languishing whips, cast something on you've been wanting to for a while. Get it done. We do have a few people who are working on whips that are less than 2 months old, and I'm okay with that as long as it is something that stresses you out. So if it's something, and it can't be something brand new that you just cast on, but if it's something that you cast on last month and you're just like, man, I really need to get this finished and it's bothering me that it's on the needles. Or maybe it has a deadline, like, oh, my mom's birthday is next week, I really need to get this done. Then, well, I mean, I can't speak for Levi, but I would accept that. We're not going to be sticklers. We're not going to go through, and like he said, he's doing another knit along with Knit for Brains. And he put it very well. We're not going to go in and check. We're not going to see how far along you were on your project when you we're not going to do that. But just use your best judgment. Please don't cheat. That's all we ask. And I'm excited to give away some really great prizes. I think I did say in my last podcast that Levi was going to be doing the Instagram prizes and I was going to be doing the Ravelry group prizes, which I think is still the case, but I think Levi had hinted that he may do some Ravelry prizes as well. So don't mark my words on that, but just make sure if you're participating in the chatter thread, participating in the FO thread, participating on Instagram with the hashtag Whip It Thursday KAL, then you'll be entered to win these prizes, so don't even worry about it. So yeah, I just want to thank you guys for all your all your participation, and I'm really excited to see what you guys are working on and what you finish up. So make sure you do that. To win on Ravelry, you must be a member of my Ravelry group. To win on Instagram, you must follow Levi at WTF Knitting, And you must also follow me at Honeybee Knits on Instagram. So make sure that you guys are doing that. Also, if you have Instagram and you have followed me on Instagram, or even if you don't, I put up a post for I am up to I'm over 1,000 followers on Instagram and over 500 subscribers on YouTube. So I'm really excited about that, guys. Thank you so much. I never thought that I would have this many people interested in what I'm doing every week. So I just really want to thank you guys again, and I appreciate all the beautiful comments and all the feedback I've had from you guys. So I am doing an Instagram giveaway, and I'm giving away a bag from my shop and a skein yarn from my shop. So go out onto my Instagram and read my original post to find out how you can win that, and follow those directions. So, again, I just want to thank you guys, especially with my episode last week, and everything that's been going on. You guys have been so supportive, and I really felt that. So, thank you guys. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to hearing more from you guys. If you guys have any suggestions on how I can make the podcast better, feel free to let me know either on Instagram, Ravelry, or in the comments below. If you're a regular viewer of my podcast, please make sure to like and subscribe. That just helps me to know whether or not I'm doing what I need to do for you guys, because ultimately this podcast is for me. But if I'm putting all this out there and nobody watches, then it's kind of pointless. I could just skip the uploading and editing phase and just watch it myself. Anyway, so let me know if you guys have any comments or suggestions on the podcast. I do have a chatter thread for the podcast. If you have any questions, feel free to go out there and ask me. I don't, whether they're knitting related or not, I don't have any questions this week, so we're going to skip over that segment. Real quick before we go on, I have coupon codes. If you're a regular viewer of the podcast, I know you've heard me say these a million times, but I just want to make sure that the new viewers know about these. You can also find these in the podcast chat. So if you're missing something that I've said, as far as coupons go, or businesses I mentioned, you can find all that information in the podcast chat thread. If you have a question on something I said and you're having a hard time finding it, please message me or put it up in the podcast thread. I'll be more than happy to answer that for you. I have been doing really bad at putting show notes on YouTube just because I haven't had the time. So I'm going to try to do better about that. But again, if you don't see show notes and you have a question on something I've shown or talked about in the podcast, just let me know. So coupon codes, we have Fates Thread. It's good through the end of the year. It's FT First Year 10 for 10% off your purchase of $20 or more. Handmade by Zon is Thank You 10. You can save 10% on your next order. Fat Girl Sewing, now through August 31st, you can save 10% by using the coupon code RAVE10, and that's RAVE 10. Listen, I don't know how you guys with kids do this podcasting stuff, because this is like the second or third time I've been interrupted. So anyway, back to it. Kate G Designs, she is the designer of the No Prisoners wrap. She's provided a coupon code for 25% off that pattern until July 31st, and that coupon code is NEW25. And then I have a coupon code for you guys for my shop. It's for 10% off now through July 20. Now to July 28th, it's 10% off, and that's Thank You 10. And that coupon code expires on Friday. So make sure that if you're interested in anything that's up in my shop or any custom orders, you are using that or letting me know. So again, no Ravelry questions this week. So that takes us to shop news. So I have 3 new colorways I want to show you guys. And I love these so much. See what I mean with pink? They all have pink in them. Anyway, so I put these up on Instagram before I podcasted. So I don't have names for these yet. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. I have an idea of what I want to name them, but I just haven't finalized anything yet. So I really love this. It's my first speckle skein, and I like how it turned out. It's pretty cool. I've been having a lot of fun experimenting with speckles this week. So I will make this naked for you. So yeah, I have 3 of these, and then I have 3 of these, and I really like this. I have to open this one up to show you as well, so you can see all the, I love how this turned out. I have a name in mind for this one as well. So that's how that is. I really like this one. And then I have 3 of these. This one is the one I don't really have a name for yet. Ugh, I love this. So yeah, if you're interested in any of these will be in my shop on Friday, and I have 3 of each. So that's it for my shop news this week. No sewing this week. I will get back to sewing. I need to do some queen bee bags because I've had a lot. I need to do some queen bee bags because I've had a lot of requests for those. So I will be working on those hopefully next week. My sewing mojo's been gone, and I've just been really into knitting and spinning right now. So we'll see how I feel. My husband's been bugging me to sew some more up because I mentioned before that I don't want a fabric stash, and right now I have a fabric stash. Not a very big one, but it's still a stash, so I need to get that done. So that's it for knitting content. So if that's all you were here for, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next week. If you're interested in my weekend review, stick around. So, weekend review. So I'll start with last Thursday. So my husband was gone Wednesday night at game night, which really wasn't a big deal because I had the podcast to focus on. But then he was also gone Thursday night for a concert, and the whole being alone in the house with everything that had just happened was really getting to me. So I contacted a friend and I asked her if she wanted to hang out, and she said yes. So we went to dinner in this place. We went to downtown Springboro, which is where I live, to, I think it's called Heather's Coffee Bar or Coffee Cafe or something like that. But anyway, it's a restaurant, but they only have outdoor seating, and it looks like when you go up on somebody, we actually missed it the first time, because when you pull up, it's like in the middle of downtown Springboro, which is like a historical district. So it has these big old houses, so it looks like it's in somebody's backyard. So when we walked up, and they had a live band there that night, but we didn't realize that you needed reservations, which they had tables open without reservations, but we didn't realize it was outside. We thought it was going to be inside. And it was super hot, sticky, muggy. I was wearing heavy jeans. She was wearing her work clothes, so she was all dressed up. And we sat there for a minute, and we were like, maybe we should go somewhere else. So, because the plan was to sit and knit and eat and talk, and it just wasn't the right environment for that. So we ended up going to BJ's Brew House, which is a pizza place. It's actually a large restaurant chain down the street from my house, but I love their pizza. So we split some chips and salsa, and I got a small pizza. I got a daiquiri. She got a beer. We split what's called a pizookie. So it's like a cookie baked in a pizza pan. So it's like a giant cookie with ice cream on top. So that was fantastic. But again, it just wasn't the right place to sit and talk and knit. So we came back to my house and we knit for a while. We watched Roseanne, which I've been obsessed with lately. And that's when I did most of the work on my color craving. So I didn't get a whole lot done on it that night. And by the time she left, I was pretty frustrated with it. So I just put it in timeout for the rest of the evening. So that was last Thursday. Last Friday I worked, and then, like I said, my husband and I watched the first Matrix movie, and I knitted on those Canterlot gloves. Saturday in the morning I spun, then we watched the third Matrix movie, and I knitted on the Canterlot gloves. And then we went to a baseball game. We went to go see the Dragons, which is our, I don't think it's Major League, and it's not minor. I think it might be Major League. I don't know if it's MLB or not. It's like a step down from the Cincinnati Reds. So, like, if a Reds player gets hurt, they step down and they go play for the Dragons for a little while until they're rehabilitated, and then they step back up. So, and Cincinnati Reds is our, that's our MLB team. So, Anyway, so we went and saw the Dragons game, and they're not doing so. It's like they're not the greatest team in the world. They used to be a lot better, and it's like every time we go, they have a really crappy night. So I think the other team it was like the night, and it always seems like they start doing better in the last inning. And I'm a big baseball fan. I used to play softball in high school, so I really enjoy watching baseball games, and I really get into it. So I wasn't happy that they didn't do well until the last. In fact, my stepdad, my mom, my brother, and his fiance had all left, and my husband and I were like, well, we might as well just stay and watch it. We have nothing better to do. And then as soon as they left, we got, I think, 2 runs, so that was nice. And we had 3. We were getting ready to get another. We had 2 or 3 people on base. I think it was 2. It might have been 3. I don't remember. Because I remember thinking, hey, they could get a home run. Maybe they'll tie it up. Maybe they'll keep getting them and tie it up until, and then we'll have an extra inning, but it didn't happen. The next person got out, and that was that. So that was fun. It was nice to get out of the house and just do something for a little while. Sunday, we did absolutely nothing. We just laid around the house. I don't think I got out of my pajamas on Sunday. It was really relaxing and nice. That's when I started the second pair of husband socks. Monday was a bad day for me. I had a hard time focusing on work. I kind of just wanted to lay around all day and not do anything. It wasn't a good day. I was having a lot of... It's hard to be at the house. It is. It's hard to be here for extended periods of time and not have something to do. And it's not that I didn't have anything to do. It's just I woke up with the intention of getting a lot of things done with work, but then I just couldn't get my mind focused on it. So I didn't have any crafting plan for those moments, and that's where everything went downhill. So I got myself together. I got off work about 3 or 4 o'clock, and I got myself together. I got up, I cleaned the house, I took a shower, took my dog on a walk, we had dinner, and I was able to get motivated, and I started knitting that night. So that was good to get my mind right. Tuesday I went into work. I had a good day, which was yesterday. And then it was a beautiful day yesterday. It was the perfect temperature. It was the sun was out, but it wasn't too hot. It wasn't too humid. And we had passes to Kings Island, and we haven't really been using them because between my surgery and my dog, she had to go out every 2 hours, so we weren't really able to leave her for extended periods of time. So I called Jason. It was like 10 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, when we get off work, we need to go get the kids and go to Kings Island because it's a beautiful day for it. We prefer to go on the weekdays because it's not as crowded, especially the weekday evenings. And he agreed. So when I got off work, my boss let me off I told my boss I was going to leave a few minutes early. And I went and I picked up my niece and nephew. And then, cause I was actually in the office yesterday. So I went and I picked up my niece and nephew. We came home, we ate some deli sandwiches, because the food there is ridiculously expensive. And we're okay buying it once in a while, but not every time we go. And last night we were only going to be there for, I think we were only there for 4 or 5 hours. So it just wasn't worth spending the money to eat there when we were going to be home before we left. So anyway, I came home, ate some deli sandwiches, picked up my husband, changed clothes. We left. We got there about 6 o'clock. We spent all evening there, and it was fantastic because the way Kings Island is set up is not really the way it's set up, but my husband and the kids like to travel in a group to in groupings of different roller coaster areas and different rides. So they would pick an area and I would find a comfy place to sit and I would knit, and they would go ride for an hour or an hour and a half, and then they'd come back and get me and we'd move on to the next section of the park. So we just did that until we got all the way around the park. And so I was able to finish one of hubby's socks and start the next one. So that was nice. And then today I worked and it was a crazy day. I worked from home, but I was able to focus, and it was a crazy hectic day. When we left last night, we did end up eating out. We got Pizza Hut on the way home, which is not good to eat. But we were all starving, and it was 10 o'clock, and we were like, we don't want to go home and make dinner. So I ordered a pizza on the way home, and we picked it up. So we ate that for dinner last night and lunch today. So I worked from home today. I got a lot of stuff done. I had 3 hours of conference calls today, which wasn't fun. And it's not going to be any better tomorrow. Hence the second iced coffee, which is now done. I'm contemplating a third, because I need to edit this podcast and get it uploaded. Plus, I need to feed the kids dinner and take the dog on a walk, because I woke up late today because we were out so late last night. And so she didn't get her walk before work, so now she's going to get her walk after work. Or she's going to get her walk tonight. So I've got to edit the podcast, feed the kids. But before I feed them, I got to go to the grocery store and get food. Then I got to feed the kids, and we got to walk the dog. So, and it's 7 o'clock. So I need to get on that. Hence, a third iced coffee might be in order. I think that's it. I think that's a good week. Oh, Friday, I noticed anything different? I got new glasses. My husband and I went to eye appointments on Friday. I typically order my glasses off of Zenni.com. They have glasses as low as, I think, $7. And that includes frames and lenses. So, I normally order off of there. The problem is that they don't hold up for very long, especially if you're wearing them every day like I do. So, my husband and I said when we went in, we were going to order them off of Zenni. And then as we were trying these on, you could just feel the difference with quality. So we ended up getting glasses there, which it was more money than we wanted to spend, and we weren't expecting to spend it, but it's something that we need. And the last time I got glasses from there, my husband and I got glasses from there, we spent about the same amount, and they lasted for about 2.5, 3 years. So, whereas the glasses I get off of Zenni normally last me about 3 months before they start falling apart. So, they are cheaper on Zenni, but they're not as good quality. So, anyway, I'm happy with them. I'm happy I got them. I think they're cute on me, and they're comfortable, and they're not, normally the glasses I get have smaller lenses. So, like, the lens, like, cuts through the middle of my eye, so I'm constantly having to, like, change my head direction or adjust the glasses to be able to see. These ones have nice big lenses without making me look weird, and I can see better out of my peripherals. And also, I got the glare thing on them, so when I podcast, the glare, I don't know if you've noticed, the glare isn't as bad in my glasses. So, you're welcome. I spent an extra $40 for you guys. Not really. My husband wanted me to get it for nighttime driving, so I'm not a good nighttime driver. Anyway, there's that. That's all I got to share this week. This was a lot longer than I thought it would be. I rambled on enough. So thank you guys for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Bye.